hands. Thank you. Perfect. We've got some people that have requested this as a recording. You could also ask for one if you want, and Bedri will be able to help you with that. So my name is Susan Lovelace. I'm the Executive Director of the South Carolina Sea Grant Consortium, and we haven't met yet. Hello, and I look forward to meeting you in person at some point. There is a QR code on the front of this that takes you to our request for proposals if you haven't looked at it. And just, I think we've got that a couple times in the presentation if you need to do a quick peek. I wanted to start out by having the staff that are on introduce themselves. So Badria, you're first.
Hi everyone, I'm Badria and I'm the Grants Management Manager at South Carolina Sea Grant Consortium.
Thank you. I think I saw Amanda.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Amanda Guthrie, the Coastal Climate and Resilience Specialist here at the consortium.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon. Matt Gorstein. I'm the Assistant Director for Extension at Sea Grant.
Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Ryan Bradley, Assistant Director for Administration here at Sea Grant. We'll be listening in and hopefully answering questions that may have arisen this week.
Thank you. Any other staff on that I have missed?
I think it's all of us.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Well, so we'll go ahead and move on from here. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about what is Sea Grant, what is Sea Grant research, and then our request for proposals. So this is a request for proposals, 1 year or 2 year proposals. Every 2 years, we have a competition. And so this is the current one. All right, next slide, please. So if you're not familiar with Sea Grant, we're one of 34 programs nationwide. So we're funded in part from NOAA. Our research dollars largely come from NOAA. And usually Sea Grants are associated with a major university. So in North Carolina, it's North Carolina State. In Georgia, it's UGA. South Carolina is a little bit different. About 47 years ago, DNR actually suggested that we have a Sea Grant program in South Carolina. So they went to the state legislature and they said, can we do this? Well, there are no DNRs involved in any of the other Sea Grant programs. And so here, what they decided to do was apply from the state to become a program with a consortium of 9, well, at that time, 7 members. So I think that's the next slide. Yep. So the College of Charleston, Clemson, South Carolina DNR, University of South Carolina State, the Citadel, and the Medical University of South Carolina were the original members of the Sea Grant Consortium. There is provisions in our legislation for other schools to join if they have suitable programs that fit the Sea Grant mission. And so Coastal Carolina, and then when they became a distinct university with oceanography and marine sciences, joined. And then several years ago, Francis Marion developed a program that was suitable. And they have a freshwater ecology lab and work on a lot of anadromous species. And so they joined the consortium. Our board of directors is made up of the chief executives of each of these institutions. And so they support us throughout the year, whether we're talking the state legislature or the federal legislature. Our mission is to generate and provide science-based information on issues and opportunities that improve social and economic well-being of our coastal citizens. We want to ensure the optimal use and conservation of our marine and coastal resources. And so we want to improve life. We want to use our natural resources, and we want to conserve them so that they'll be here for us and for future generations. Next. We never work alone. We are almost always involved in partnerships, whether it's with our universities, state agencies, federal agencies, municipalities, organizations, businesses, you name it. So we work with all these different groups. We have I guess they call it like a 3-legged stool. Research, extension, and education are our core areas. So our research with the research faculty at all of our universities. And so you are probably all a member of our research faculty. We do have a core staff in-house to administer the program, administer the grants, to conduct extension, so how to engage communities and organizations and businesses in their needs and and to do work, and then also to provide that information back to them through communications and outreach. Next one. So in this past year, we documented 86 impacts and accomplishments, 50 products, 39 trainings, and about $21 million in economic benefits for the state. And so this was the past year. Yearly, we do quite a large evaluation of our program and send that information to NOAA. And so the information from the research projects also goes into part of that assessment and evaluation. As I mentioned, we engage with our coastal businesses and organizations, residents, to determine their needs. And so every 4 years, we develop a strategic plan. So we do have a program advisory board in addition to our board of directors. We also, most of our focus areas, our extension program has committees that guide them. And so we reach out to all these folks, natural resource managers, and other coastal organizations. And so we take the issues and opportunities that they have, and we craft a strategic plan. In our last several strategic plans, actually, these have come out as our core themes. So healthy coastal ecosystems, sustainable coastal development and economy, weather and climate resilience, sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, and scientific literacy and workforce development. And unless, I'm going to take just a second and ask if there's any questions about Sea Grant. That's a very short description of it, but we are a state agency and you are all our consortium members. All right. Then I'm going to hand it over to Badria to start talking about research at Sea Grant and our competition.
Thank you. So mainly the way that we work with our research is that we make sure that it is in a cycle, that is this research, we need to make it an applicable research, and we deliver the results and the information generated from it to the community and to end users. And we start with identifying the needs, whether through consultations with our program advisory board or extension advisory committees, and also during informal contacts with our communities. We identify those research needs, and then our research partners and extension staff, they check if the science for those needs is available or not. If yes, then our extension and communication staff, they work on delivering this information to our community and end users who can benefit from it and can be targeted through this information. And if the science is not available, then we work on answering those needs through incorporating them into our request for proposals, like the one that's open currently, or we seek out external resources and recruit PIs and partners in order to work on answering those research questions and meeting those needs. And through those funds, it mainly hires scientists, students, and community partners to work on it and to work on developing the knowledge, techniques, models, methodology, and applications to answer those research questions. And then it goes back to the cycle where our extension and communication staff, they send this information out to the community. And so the keys to Sea Grant funding, we highly encourage that during your concept letter and full proposal to target stakeholders, and it's both resource managers and community members and anyone you think could be targeted and benefit from the project that you are thinking of. We also highly encourage interdisciplinary projects, and at the same time, because this research, it has to be an applied research. So we look forward to see expected impacts from your proposal that will touch base on what are the economic, social, and environmental benefits to the identified and engaged target. And also we look forward to see how you are addressing the management needs of local, state, regional, and federal agencies, for example, such as the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources or the South Carolina Office of Resilience. We also want to see how you will identify the stakeholders, and also at the same time, how will you transfer the results and the information generated from your project to them? And again, emphasizing the need to include both research managers and community groups that are relevant to your work. We also encourage partnerships in your projects. The main PI and the main person submitting the project, it has to be a faculty member from our consortium member institutions. However, you're welcome to add as many PIs as you would like, as long as they are relevant to your work, as we also encourage partnerships with non-consortium member, multi-institutional and regional organizations. We also encourage that PIs support the career of undergraduate and graduate students, whether by hiring graduate assistants or undergraduate student interns, as we would like that these students receive this opportunity and this learning experience. Also, we expect that the PIs contact our consortium staff, whether it's the research, extension, education, or our communication staff. And we have, if you go to our website, there is a staff directory, and it's also the link is present in the RFP document that we have on our website. We expect that you reach out to our staff because they will help you identify stakeholders that are relevant to your project. And also at the same time, they know in the field if there are other people working on the same idea, so they can connect you with them. And also you can include our staff in your project as long as they have the capacity and they are interested to be included in this project. They can be included at no cost. However, if you are expecting our staff to be hosting trainings or workshops, then the cost for trainings, workshops like equipment or refreshments, these should be included in your budget. And again, the main PI submitting in our EC grant system, it has to be a faculty from our member institutions. And we are anticipating funding of around $500,000 per year for 2-year projects starting on February 1st, 2026. That's the federal fiscal year. The 2-year projects, they always have to start on February 1st, 2026. And also at the same time, if you have an idea, but you think of applying it for only 1 year instead of 2 years, we also welcome those projects. And then the 1-year projects, they could either start on February 1st, 2026 or February 1st, 2027, depending on how ready you are for the project and also depending on federal appropriations. Each project, the range of support, it's usually between $30,000 to $80,000 per year. It could be higher for multi-investigator and multi-institutional proposals, but the ones that go higher than the range, they're usually case-by-case basis. And since it's also federal funding, then we require that you satisfy the 50% non-federal matching agreement, which means that for every $2 that you put in the budget and request from the consortium, you have to match it with $1 non-federal resource. And while the indirect costs, they can't be charged directly in the project, but they can be used to satisfy the matching requirement as long as they come from a non-federal source. And for our priorities that are on our strategic plan, this QR code, it will take you to the website where they are listed. We have the 5 main themes that Susan talked about, and in each one we have listed the priorities that also were finalized within consultation of our advisory program board members. And so for the first main theme, healthy coastal ecosystems, we're mainly looking for projects that evaluate the impact of climate vulnerability and land use on South Carolina's ecosystem and resources, evaluating and assessing the extent to which contaminants that are captured in stormwater ponds travel to receiving waters, estimating social, economic, and cultural values for ecosystem services provided by coastal habitats, evaluating and comparing coastal habitat restoration strategies to identify the best way to improve the functionality of coastal creeks and streams, and developing decision support tools that illustrate possible changes in land use and land cover in response to projected population growth and changing climate and weather patterns. Also evaluating the effectiveness, efficiency, and the durability of water and stormwater management practices, and of informed target audiences, The last one, in the healthy coastal ecosystems, assessing viability and use of blue carbon capture as a management tool. And I also wanted to mention that as a requirement for the projects submitted, we need to see that they are tied to at least one of our priorities. And for the sustainable coastal development and economy, characterizing the social, economic, cultural, and demographic factors that impact South Carolina's traditional water-dependent activities, assessing how climate variability and land use change, how they affect working waterfronts, and identifying avenues for rural, island, and small town coastal communities to engage in sustainable ecotourism. Co-producing planning and policy with coastal communities to evaluate current and future needs for sustainable coastal access, generating and distributing information management tools and technologies on beach march and dune systems that can help communities manage coastal environments, evaluating the impacts from sea level rise and climate change on various low-income development and other innovative systems, and evaluating culturally significant sites in coastal communities to determine how they are impacted by environmental changes and anthropogenic actions. As for our third theme, weather and climate resilience, assessing the effects of the interaction of short-term weather and long-term climate change on urban and rural communities, engaging in meaningful information exchange and knowledge co-production with historically marginalized communities and neighborhoods, conducting case studies to examine climate hazard and adaptation scenarios within shoreline environments and find solutions to implement the best adaptation measures, developing science-based timelines for climate change and sea level rise impacts and effects to ecosystems and communities, outlining the best solutions, and assessing and predicting long-term trends in beachfronts and tidal marsh shorelines, accounting for anthropogenic responses under changing climate conditions. As for sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, our priorities are building upon proven technological advances in fish population studies as a means for fiscal efficiency and to improve estimating marine resources stocks, assessing and characterizing the natural and the human threats to the long-term status and distribution of wild fish populations and aquacultural species, developing methods to estimate the level of recreational harvest of key shellfish in South Carolina, and developing novel and alternative gear and system designs and materials to support sustainable fisheries and aquaculture industries, identifying value-added opportunities to diversify revenue streams for fisheries and aquaculture businesses, documenting and assessing changes in the demographic and sociodynamics of South Carolina's commercial and recreational fisheries, and conducting research to identify economically viable and environmentally sustainable aquacultural practices and operations. As for our last theme, which is scientific literacy and workforce development, our priorities are developing sustainable K-12 student marine education and stewardship programs that incorporate our priorities, and also developing professional development opportunities for formal and non-formal educators so that they can incorporate ocean science concepts into their place of instruction, creating novel environmental stewardship focused programs that incorporate participatory science and are inclusive for both youth and adults, enhancing educational and workforce development opportunities in coastal and marine fields of study, and evaluating current and potential workforce needs and opportunities in the Southeast, and lastly, enhancing the level of environmental health literacy. Moving to the timeline and the proposal process for our request for proposals. So mainly this is our timeline. We opened the call for concept letters on January 21st, and you can submit your concept letter in our Sea Grant system. So make sure you register in the system as soon as possible, just to avoid any technical issues within the system. There is a link for EC Grant system in the RFP document that's listed on our website. And if you have any questions, you can always email us on proposals@southcarolinaseagrant.org. Concept letters, they will be due in our system on February 21st at 5 p.m. And then after it, we will take around a month to do reviews. We're going to have an internal review panel that's formed of our staff. And then we also have an external panel that has a wide variety of scientists, community members, and outreach and extension specialists who will also review those concept letters. At the end of this review, the results will be either the concept letters, they will be encouraged to submit a full proposal or discouraged to submit a one. Anyone who submitted a concept letter is welcome to submit a full proposal, regardless of the result, whether encouraged or discouraged, but usually encouraged ones, they have higher possibility for their full proposal to be accepted. And then you will have until May 16 to work on the full proposal and submit it also in our EC grant system. The main thing within submitting the proposal, we need it to be signed and endorsed by your sponsored program office. So also just making sure you communicate this with them earlier. And in case anyone from the SPO office, they want to submit this endorsement form, which is a form that we provide, and it will be in our EC grant system whenever you start working on the proposal. If they want to submit it themselves and access the system, they will need to email us so that we can give them this access. And if you already submitted a proposal with us before, then your account is already still there in EC grant. But if you're new to C grant and this is your first time submitting a proposal with us, you will need to create an account on the system. After submitting the proposals, there will also be a review panel. The review panel, it will be fully external and it will be with scientists who are not in South Carolina and they are not members or part of our partners. And then we will also have a technical review panel. Then at the end, the results of the review, based on it, we will notify successful proposals on August 18 or earlier. And then we will ask the successful proposals to work on some forms, such as the environmental complaints, NEPA form. And then the main proposal won't change, but we will require a letter that will explain how you will work on the comments and the feedback that you received from the reviewers. And this deadline will be, to submit them will be August 18th till September 12th. Then after we have all of those forms, the consortium will prepare a letter of intent with the projects that we would like to fund to National Sea Grant Office for their approval. And then whenever we receive their approval, we prepare and submit our final Sea Grant Omnibus program plan, because the funding for those requests for proposals, they come from our Omnibus federal funds. And then the start date for the projects, it will be February 1st, 2026 for the 2-year projects. And then for the 1-year projects, it will be either 2026 or 2027 of February 1st. And I just wanted to emphasize here that we send our award packages whenever we receive the money from NOAA. And we keep our PIs updated with any information that we receive. Again, for the concept letter, so this is part of our competitive research. The concept letter, it's mainly just 4 to 5 pages, but we just want to see what research question that you are proposing, what are the needs that you think should be addressed, and how you are the results that you will generate, how you will make it an applied research and communicate them with the targeted stakeholders and the community. And we have a full review criteria that our review panels will work on it. And this full criteria, it is also present on our website in the RFP document for the concept letters and for the full proposals, but mainly for the concept letters, the way it is on engagement, outreach, and education, rationale and significance, and also providing opportunities for students. For the structure for the concept letter, again, if you go to the RFP document, there is more, the criteria is listed more in details on also the font size, the margins, and the page numbers. It's going to be 4 to 5. Mainly the first 3 pages, they will be about problem statement, where you will just briefly list the problem that you are addressing and what priority or priorities from South Carolina Sea Grant Consortium your project is related to. And then we would like to see what are your objectives. And if you are proposing a 2-year project, we want to see what are the objectives per each year of your project. And then expected outcomes briefly. And also we just emphasize that in your concept letter, mention that you are willing to provide a data sharing and management plan if you proceed to the stage of developing a full proposal. Then targeted audiences, outreach, and education, and briefly talking about your methods. On a 4th page, include about personnel, collaborators, and stakeholders, and budget. It's going to be also a brief budget, and we have a template for it on our RFP document on the website. For the 5th page, it is optional, but if you have any relevant citations that you would like to include in the concept letter submission, feel free to include them on the 5th page. As for the full proposal, whenever you're working on this stage, again, we're just emphasizing that you communicate early with your sponsored program office and to make sure that the budget is also reviewed by them, and then that they sign the proposal endorsement form that we have and you submit it on EC grant system. And the full proposal structure, it is very detailed. Most of those sections in the proposal, we have the forms in our EC grant system. So you'll just need to go to the system, download them, and just edit over there and submit whenever you're done. We have a proposal endorsement form, project summary, introduction, background, and significance, detailed objectives, detailed methods, again, engagement, outreach, and education, and expected outcomes, anticipated benefits, and products. If there is any related work that has been done and that is related to the project that you are proposing, we just want to see how your project will complement what has been done or will address the gaps that are needed in this field that you are proposing. Data sharing and management plan, references, milestone chart, these are all forms that we provide. And CV, it's only 2 pages per PI, and that's a standard form that we have. We have a form for the budget, and then we have another form to justify each item that you list in the initial budget form. And then the last one, it's an optional one. It's from the Office of Management and Budget. It's just a demographic question. And this is briefly the review criteria, but if you would like to see the full one, you can check it in our RFP document on the website. For the full proposal, the main focus will be on the scientific and technical merit, products and impact, and the budget. And then projects that are selected for funding, we will reach out with further guidance on what are the next steps and also the reporting requirements, since the main PI will be responsible for reporting to us every 6 months. We have project reporting on the progress of your project, and we also have financial reporting. And again, for these reporting, we have our standardized forms that we will share with you. And if you have any questions about the budget or programmatic requests, you can always email us at proposals@southcarolinaseagrant.org or call our Director for Administration, Ryan Bradley. And that's mainly it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat or feel free to unmute and ask your question.
I have a quick question. I'm Jianfei Chen from Clemson University, and so I would like to know, is it possible to view the previous funding projects on the websites?
Susan or Ryan, do you have an answer for this question?
There they are. So if you go to our website and hit the research tab, you can look at the current projects that have been funded, and then there's all the archives of previous projects. So there's a wealth of information there.
Thank you.
I have a question. Eric Sotka, College of Charleston. So the concept letter should not include any kind of letter of support from people who are going to be involved, all, the folks either in the private sector, the public sector, not NGOs, even folks within Sea Grant office. No sort of like acknowledgement that they agree to what's in the concept letter.
You don't have to have your documentation from them. We're going to trust you that when you say you've talked to them and you're sharing information back and forth, that you're doing that. You should include who you're working with and what groups you're engaging and how.
Sure. Thank you.
One question from the chat is regarding cost share. In regards to cost share, 50% is required. For those of us that have worked with us in the past, there is an agreement between all consortium members and Sea Grant on our biennial projects that the indirect cost for agreement rate for your organizations will not be charged. And what can be done is that amount can be used as unrecovered cost share and basically provide, but almost the 50% match that is required for the grants. If you need more details on that, I'm happy to provide it. But basically, your sponsored program officer that's worked with Sea Grant in the past will be very familiar with that aspect. And it's a way to ensure that the entire amount of your proposal goes to the research you want to accomplish.
Although the funding amount we have sounds small, and it's not NSF dollars. But the fact that you get it all to go towards your research or your student support is really helpful.
Susan, do you want to answer VJ's question, or do you want me to go after it?
No, I'll be glad, be glad to talk about it. So I think you all know that we have the change in administration has brought significant changes to how grants are being conducted and the work that's going on in the federal workforce right now. We understand that, so our new budget cycle starts tomorrow, February 1st, and we always turn over on February 1st. We are still waiting for funds for next year. We understand some of those are in progress, but we also understand that they're prioritizing other grants over Sea Grant-based budgets right now. So those is associated with infrastructure and other large bills. As far as our current projects going forward, I believe we're going to be sending an email out to all PIs with a little bit more information about what we do and don't know, and how we move forward. But you're going to have to, as you hear, and in particular this week, with changes in how grants are administered from the federal government, we're all just trying to, day by day, trying to figure out how to move forward with that. Does that answer enough, VJ?
Susan, I also have read a related question is, so does that mean some of the terms we cannot use in a proposal or address